Hey everybody, welcome to class today. Today we're talking about classical liberalism. I have that term there because for two reasons. One, we sometimes use the phrase neoliberalism to talk about the stuff we talk about, but I'll never ask you to use that. It's going to be liberalism in this class. The other thing is I definitely want to make sure that you understand that this is what liberalism sort of originally meant, and America has sort of transformed what the word liberalism has meant to sort of connect it with progressivism, and it's not that at all. So when I say liberalism, don't think that at all, because usually in America you think liberalism, and the party you tend to associate that with is the Democratic Party. But that's not the case at all. It's actually liberalism is like we're all liberals in this sense that we're going to talk about here. It's more matters of degree. You're going to watch today a clip from a speech from George W. Bush, Republican, probably one of the stronger liberals in international relations that we're going to see. But Obama was a liberal as well in the international relations. So if you're applying that liberal term in American sort of the American form, it just doesn't work here. So move past that, put that over here, and then we'll keep going. So what we talked about on Wednesday was realism, and realism, again, from our zombie apocalypse, like what's life like in the zombie apocalypse, and it's essentially make sure that you run faster than the other guy. It's very much self-help. You can't trust anybody else, and so only you can ensure your own survival. Liberalism takes a different sort of look at that, and essentially says, man, my best chance of surviving is not on my own out there in the wilderness, but it's teaming up with others. Now, not just teaming up with anybody, you still have to build trust, but a very key difference between liberalism and realism is that liberalism believes trust can be established, that people can and do cooperate all the time. So, how to survive a zombie apocalypse? Team up. Here's another sort of version of that same thing. Don't try to do everything yourself. The realism self-help. If I'm a state or a person, let's say I'm a person trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, I can't trust anybody else. So if I'm trusting that guy over there for my food, if things go haywire, he'll keep the food and I'll starve to death. If I'm trusting this person over here to do the medicine, if there's lack of medicine, I won't get it and I'll die. So I have to be an expert in everything because I can only rely on myself. The liberal takes a very different view of this, that essentially working together, what we call division of labor. I'll specialize in this, you specialize in this, you specialize in this. We all are markedly better off because of that. And that's going to be the same thing at the state level, is that if all states are trying to do everything themselves, not very successful. But when states specialize in something they do well and do things like trade with each other, they're all better off. So let's talk about the foundations here, now that we've talked about zombies for a little bit. It's pretty simple. I know I've done this before in class, this line. And again, it's this idea that here's the past, and as humanity has sort of moved through history, it has progressed, or it has improved. It's gotten better. Now, better then means what? Like, what's here? How do we know? Like, if I'm here instead of here, I'm worse, but worse relative to what? What is that right there? And the answer is freedom. It's what we call the virtuous spiral of human history. That essentially humanity is constantly improving. And let me just point this out here. So we'll start here. Just like with the realist, humans have use of reason. It's part of human nature. You can't change it. Why would you want to? Humans use their reason. Where we start to differ between liberals and realists is the realist is going to say, I use my reason and I recognize nobody's going to take care of me but me. Liberals are going to say, no, the best way to survive is through cooperation. I'll talk a little bit more about this here in just a second. Cooperation then is going to lead to processes of modernization, particularly technology. It's going to As we specialize in things, we have a lot more ability to do those things better, improve the technology. So, for example, if I am someone who is a full-time farmer, that's what I've always done my whole life, we would expect that I would get better and better and better at that, develop new ways of doing it, learn more about farming so that I could improve that farming, and then that could be passed on to the next generation of farmers. We call that technology, just that sort of improvement, that ability to do that better. And that leads to human progress. Again, this movement along here. Now, again, we said, what's down here? What are we progressing toward? And the answer is freedom, human freedom. Your ability to choose your own good life. Now, once you have more freedom, the expectation for the liberal is that you then are able to use your reason better. You are less constrained by other things trying to lead you off the path. You are listening to reason more and more and more, which actually makes us better. And that sends you right back up here to the top. They have reason. Now we have more reason, cooperate. And that sort of, this process is what moves this direction towards here. Rinse and repeat until the world is fully free. And again, did you guys read this for today? You read this at some point. Maybe it was last week. You read the Francis Fukuyama, The End of History. And again, his argument being essentially the end of the Cold War. We have reached this point. History, this story is done. We've reached this point. It's capitalism won, democracy won, freedom. We're good. Now, you may disagree, obviously, with some of the things he's saying there, but that's the general sort of idea, is that, we are getting more and more free as humanity. Now, again, we say, okay, that's great, but this is the international relations course. Why the heck does any of this matter to me? Well, we're going to get to that. Because that story is the same story that you'd be telling in international relations. So, for example, let's start with human nature again. Reason tells me that my interest is best met with others. And you can see how this starts to apply to international relations right off the bat. Is if that's true for individuals, that should be true for states as well. Is that states, again, according to liberalism, as time goes on and humans have better use of reason, we are more convinced that cooperation is the way to go. The classic example is from a guy named Rousseau, and he talks about hunting large animals. Go back to our hunter-gatherer days. If I wanted to capture a rabbit, I could probably pull that off on my own, but a rabbit's not a lot of meat. It's a lot of work for not a lot of meat. If I wanted to really get a lot of meat, I would have to bring down the big stuff, like the mastodon or something like that. And I can't do that on my own. It's going to require a team of us to bring down, working together, not just sort of all pitching our spears at the mastodon, but we're going to have to, you guys are going to have to bait, you guys are going to have to trap it from this side, you'll get it from this side. It has to be coordinated, it has to be cooperative to bring this down. And if you do that, there is way more meat for everybody than there would be if we each individually went after rabbits ourselves. So that's the idea here. In many areas, benefits of cooperation outweigh the benefits of going alone, trade. I'll just give you an example, like from my own life. I got to be honest with you. I don't know how to get food. I can't grow my own food. Even if I could grow it, I don't really know how to make it very well. So there are people out there who specialize in this. We call them restaurants, and we call them farmers, and we call them truck drivers who move the stuff from the farms to the restaurant. And so rather, I can spend my time doing something I'm better at, or moderately better at, which is teaching, and then I can take the money I earn from that and trade it with somebody else for food. And that actually is much better, because here's the thing, if I had to do all the things I have to do, I have to grow my own food, I have to cook it, I have to do this, I have to do that, I have to do that, I couldn't really spend a lot of time on teaching, and that would be the case for everybody, so there wouldn't be a lot of quote-unquote progress. So we do this all the time. I mean, you don't make your own cell phone. You went and bought it. You traded what you do for somebody else who has specialized in making cell phones, or other people. That's just sort of how we do it. And that doesn't strike us as an odd thing. I don't feel like I have to be a self-help person. Yes, I understand that only I am responsible for my own survival, and yet at the same time, other people are doing the same thing, and we can all work together toward that common sort of, we all want to survive. So again, look around, people cooperate all the time. And if that's true for individuals, then the theory goes that should be true for states, which are just collections of individuals. So one of the things we said last time about realism, I don't know if I used the exact word, but it's kind of pessimistic about human nature in the sense that it's pessimistic about human nature in the sense that, you can't really trust anybody else. This is not really going to change. It's not saying that it's a bad thing. Like pessimism we sort of associate as a bad thing. It just means, man, don't get excited. Nothing's really going to change. It's fine. This is very optimistic about human nature. That our nature won't sort of stay the same, as the realist says. I'm saying that wrong. Our nature for the realist essentially keeps us locked in this cycle where we go from war to peace, from war to peace, from war to peace, from war to peace, into infinity. And you're a little pessimistic there because things, quote unquote, won't get better. It'll just be the same way it's always been. The liberal has a very different view on that. Human nature stays the same, but human nature can make things better. Reason can be used properly. We often don't. But the problems with using reason can be overcome. And again, we have our line again, is that we have a lot of problems using reason. We figure out ways to do it better and better and better. This can be overcome. We can improve. It's optimistic. And it can be overcome through two big things. And again, neither of these should be difficult for you to wrap your head around because you think the same thing about yourself. Like you don't think, oh my gosh, all the mistakes I made when I was 8 years old, I'm going to keep making my entire life. I'm such an idiot. It's just going to be over and over and over again. I'll just be older, but it's the same stupid mistakes. No, you think, I'm going to get better. And how do we think you're going to get better? Two ways. One is going to be education, or what the liberal would even sort of broadly say, experience. You learn things. You maybe go to school and learn things, or you experience things. You learn that was not a good way to handle this situation, and the next time you don't handle it that way, you're better than you were. You can be optimistic. Even though you're going to make mistakes along the way, even those mistakes will help you figure out how to be better at you. And that's going to be true for states. It's going to be true for humanity. Technology is going to be another thing. It's going to help you overcome sort of the obstacles in the way of the use of reason. All right.